So you get headaches and yawn a lot? Here's what you need to know.
Welcome to the Wellness Champion Podcast. In this episode, we'll be talking about water, and you'll find out whether or not you're drinking enough of it. Welcome to the Wellness Champion Podcast, sponsored by Healthy Transformation Nation. We believe that your health and wellness is determined by your own self-care more than anything else. Join us for each episode when we discover and uncover the keys to self-care in today's complex culture. We enjoy helping others discover the best ways to be well. We'll be visiting the basics for self-care and ongoing wellness that enables you to not only survive, but to thrive. On the Wellness Champion Podcast, we'll be exploring the fundamentals of intentional breathing, your hydration, nutrition, intentional movement, and your wellness mindset. The Wellness Champion Podcast is your time for a mindset reset.
Hydration is the process of replacing water in the body. This can be done through drinking water, eating ice chips, as we've seen that often in hospital settings, eating foods that have high water content.
Why hospital settings, Nikilette?
Well, as a mama, when I was pregnant with my baby, we weren't allowed to eat. So, we had the I had the epidural and anesthesia, so you have to have only ice chips, just enough to wet your whistle.
And it's okay if the ice chips are in the iced coffee, right?
Yeah. Not at that time, no.
Right. Being dehydrated is when your body is lacking the water levels necessary for it to function optimally. Mm-hmm. So when you're dehydrated, the first thing you might notice is that your pee's not clear.
Yes.
Your pee.
It's a strong indicator.
Normal, healthy, regular pee should be clear. Yellow.
Except for first thing in the morning, because we've had the fast.
Sure.
So that's always going to happen.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we start drinking.
Dehydration can also affect your mental ability, your cognition, and as well as your emotions too. For sure. I mean, I think we've all experienced that.
Absolutely. I remember when I was a little girl, and I'd get all amped up and upset with whatever was happening in the moment. And my mom would come with this glass of water, and she's like, "Drink it up. It'll calm you down." And I would just reach for that and just drink that water right down. It really did. It brought me to a state of calm because it was bringing a lot of balance to my body. That it was, I was out of balance. And so it brought a lot of balance to my body, and I felt immediately better. And as a child, I really didn't drink water. I didn't want to drink water. So that was one way that my mom could get me to drink water. And it really did balance me out. And I noticed that immediately.
Right. Yeah. No, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. And, in extreme conditions of dehydration, of course, you have dizziness and fainting.
Right.
But there are two of these things that we just mentioned already at the top of the podcast.
Yes.
At the top of this episode, the headaches and the excessive yawning. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I know that you can probably tell some stories about that as well as I can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you go first.
Thanks, Bill. So, like I mentioned already, I really didn't grow up drinking water very much. And my choice at the age of 12 was coffee. That sounded like a good, it had some water in it. But I didn't drink water. It wasn't my thing. And I did have headaches quite a bit. I had them often. And as an adult, I still didn't drink much water. I really wasn't drinking much water. If I would go to the gym, maybe I'd get a bottle in, but even then I just didn't get much water. And it wasn't until I was in my 40s and I was working on the road, and there's a lot, you have to drive a lot. So I was doing 6-hour days driving, and I would notice that I was starting to yawn a lot, and I'd get kind of tired and laggy, and I was feeling a little thirsty. So I drank some water, and it was like that balance as a child how I was out of balance as a child. It immediately brought me into balance. The yawning stopped right away. And I just kept drinking water until I felt like I didn't have like dry mouth anymore. Like that, because that happens too. That's another indicator as well. But that was what was happening with me. And now I know when I'm yawning excessively like that, I know for sure that I need water. And it doesn't happen nearly as much as it used to. It used to happen daily. And now it doesn't happen that much anymore because of the amount of water that I drink. But I have to be mindful of it. It's definitely something I have to be mindful of.
Yeah. I figured out but probably about 20 or 30 years ago, I had an experience that I still remember to this day. I was actually visiting my parents and staying at their house. And I had gone to bed and I woke up with like this pain in my belly. It was terrible pain in my belly. And it was like kind of like a really burning pain. And so I went into the bathroom and I drank some water, and immediately the pain went away. Like immediate. It was immediate.
It's amazing.
And that was when I discovered that water is really, it's really important, but I discovered that it really, it's like amazing what you can, how your body reacts to having a low water level. And since then, I've discovered that exactly what we're talking about with the headaches and the yawning. I've found that when I'm lacking energy, I'm getting the yawns, drinking some water I'll feel that energy just surge through me after I've had just the first drink. And also the headaches too.
What I love what you shared, honestly, was about the realization that you had. That's a powerful moment when you realize what water can do for your body and the life that it gives it, because that's what was happening in that moment. And for myself, I didn't get it till I was much older. Thankfully, you got that message when you were younger. Something really connected for you. So that's a powerful moment. It's a pivotal change in your wellness, really.
Yeah, for sure it was. And, of course, there are many benefits to drinking water.
Absolutely.
Flushing toxins from your body, it can help you to lose weight. It's good for your kidneys.
Right. Yep. It cleans out the kidneys.
What else? Your skin.
Skin.
Right?
It's really good for your skin. In this time of year, when we go through several seasons, I should say, and all of the seasons are different. And sometimes some seasons are just tougher than others. So winter and summer are the tougher months, because you go through the extremes where you're in excessive heat in the summertime. And then you're in the cold, but you're in so much dryness when you're inside, because you're trying to be warm from the heat, and that dries out the environment. That's why a lot of people use humidifiers and diffusers, because it adds the moisture that's lacking from the heat that is happening in the home. And so going through those extremes during especially the winter and the summer season, water is essential. It is essential to amp up more than you would normally have. And that's the thing. Like normally, the average person, maybe like 80 ounces. But even in that's on the minimum. That's really on the minimum.
Well, now, are you talking about the requirement, or are you talking about what the average person drinks?
Just the average person should, for your body. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when we're speaking and we're moving and we're breathing, we're losing water there in that moment.
Right.
And so that's the reason why I'm bringing that up.
Yeah. I mean, just by being in the air, you're losing water.
Yes.
Because there is water evaporating off your skin all the time. So funny that you brought that up, just for giggles.
Yes.
I do have some statistics here.
Oh, good.
7%.
Yes.
7% of adults reported in a survey that was done that they do not drink water at all. No daily consumption of water.
Yep.
Now, I don't know. I mean, if I've ever been like where I did not drink water all day, Really?
Oh, yes. I was like that
So
for most of
Nicolette's
my
raising
life.
her hand.
Yeah, Nicolette's raising her hand. Yeah, so I would say for about like 37 years, maybe around there.
Now,
I didn't
how
drink
would you
water.
compare? So it's 37 years.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first 37 years of your life, you didn't drink water.
Well,
Well, I
I'm
mean,
not.
I'm sorry, not you didn't drink water, but you didn't drink it daily. Like, what do you mean by not
Well,
not
like I
on
was talking,
purpose or
even
just
even as a child, I didn't like water.
yeah?
So my mom had a really hard time getting water into me, and like I said, I would drink it when I was upset. But I wasn't upset very often, so
Yeah.
again, didn't get a lot of consumption of it. And then, as I got older, I mean, brushing your teeth and stuff like that, I would use it for that. But other than that, it wasn't. I didn't really drink water that much.
Right.
I didn't like it.
So now, how would you compare? Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people who can relate. I hear it all the time. People just don't like to drink water. I don't like water, So how do you compare your life before you were drinking water consistently
Okay.
to your life after you were drinking water consistently?
Yeah, the way that it was before, I was definitely a lot more tired and foggy head. I mean, I was diagnosed with ADHD because of that fogginess I had and that lack of clarity. I did not have clarity either. And I also, my skin was excessively dry as well. I had that problem. Even though I was younger, that didn't matter. That happened as well. And I had a lot more pain. I had a lot more pain and inflammation in my body too.
So that's interesting. Well, there's a number of interesting things that you just said that I would like to unpack. But the main point I heard was that you had ADHD.
Yeah.
And we did discuss how water does affect your mental clarity.
Absolutely.
And so now we have to say the disclaimer here. We are not talking about any cures for any medical conditions or anything like that. But in your personal opinion,
Right.
Does drinking water on a consistent basis help you with your concentration and your mental clarity?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really does. I noticed a huge difference being able to focus and I don't have the brain fog like I used to. I had a lot of brain fog, and that really cleared up a lot with the water. And I mean, I drink a good amount every single day. And what I mean good amount is more than the average.
I would say that if you're feeling foggy, brain fog, maybe lacking energy, headaches.
Yeah.
These are all symptoms of what could be a medical condition, or they could be symptoms of what could just be simply your body saying, hey, you need to have some more water.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do know that headaches and the tiredness for me in my life, that was an everyday event.
Yeah.
And it did affect my performance because I was tired and I did lack that mental clarity because I was not hydrated. And like I said, my performance was affected. And I think back, like all those years I wasn't hydrated. Imagine if I had been.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And we were talking about how it could be a medical issue.
Mm-hmm.
So we have been talking about medical conditions, and of course, like we mentioned, we're not advocating not going to the doctor if you're experiencing things which concern you, if you're experiencing any kind of symptoms which concern you. But what we are saying is that to be in the best condition possible, you need to be hydrated. Mm-hmm. Everyone on Earth needs to be hydrated. Yeah. We need water to survive, to thrive. And drinking the adequate amount of water that your body needs is a prerequisite to any other health concerns that you may have.
So how do you know if you're drinking enough water?
Well, that's a great question, because that's the question that everyone wants to have answered, right? So basically, I mean, we just talked about all the things that can happen if you don't drink enough water. So I guess if you're drinking enough water, for one thing, you probably have less of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's one indication.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also formulas that you can use. You could visit htnforyou.com, and we will have a post up there that you can look up and see what the formula is for how much water you need to be drinking. Because there is actually a calculation that you can use based on your body weight and the weather conditions and all that, so that you'll know at any given time of year, or based on your activity and your body weight and everything else to do with it, how much water you technically should be drinking. But in general, if you are experiencing what we've just been talking about, then perhaps you are not having enough water. Mm-hmm. And you should consider maybe giving yourself a 7-day water challenge. Mm. On just for every day this week, drink at least, now it's really based on your body weight, mm-hmm. but
that's right.
What's a recommendation for anyone to just start at, an average adult male or female?
Yeah, what I've recommended and found to be a great way of doing it is 8 to 10 ounces every hour for mm-hmm. 10 hours. You're going to get adequate.
So that's 80 ounces.
80 to 100 ounces.
80 to 100 ounces.
Yeah, I mean, that's
that's about average for the average human.
Yeah.
The average adult.
Because,
of course, a child is be less.
Right. Because we talked about earlier how the breathing and the speaking definitely takes away from your hydration level. So that's the reason why.
Yeah, I mean, things that can affect your water intake or how much water you are having access to, your body has access to, is also your diet, mm-hmm. what you're eating.
Correct.
If you're eating a lot of salty foods, then it's going to absorb the fluid. Yep. But in general, 80 to 100 ounces.
Yes.
So start with 8 to 10 cups of water per day, and kind of try to space that out over 10 hours.
The toughest is the first one. So that's why I always start off with 8 ounces first thing in the morning. That really gets me started and helps me on my way. Before I do anything else, I drink water.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. I get up, the first thing I do is I finish. I actually drink about 20 ounces of water in the beginning of the day before I even have anything else. I start out with water, then I move on to berries. I have a berry smoothie after that. But I make sure that, because also one of the things that you'll find when you're drinking water with intention, on purpose, purposely having a certain amount of water that you require, is that one of the things we didn't talk about, but this happens a lot, is that people mistake thirst for hunger.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
And so if you make sure before you even have your meal that you're not thirsty, it will help you manage your appetite better, or help your body manage that appetite better, I should say. Really.
Yes, I knew you meant.
Yeah. So what we'd say is to do a week challenge, have 8 to 10 glasses of water consistently every day, and at the end of that week's time, see how you feel. Take an assessment.
Absolutely.
Maybe in the beginning of the week, write down how you're feeling, things that you've noticed, the things that we've talked about, and then a week later, after you've gone through the water challenge, write those things down again and see what's changed for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great idea, Bill.
So we encourage everyone to visit htnforyou.com and join our community there, where we talk about hydration and other topics to do with your wellness and self-care.